The NHL returns to action after the Four Nations face-off with 14 games on the betting slate tonight, including an Eastern Conference clash between the Carolina Hurricanes and Toronto Maple Leafs at Scotiabank Arena. It's a fairly quick turnaround for Mitch Marner and Austin Matthews after playing into overtime on Thursday evening for Team Canada and USA. So my Maple Leafs vs. Hurricanes predictions expect Toronto to lean on John Tavares. Find out which prop market I'm backing Tavares in with my free NHL picks for this Saturday, February 22nd matchup at 7 p.m. ET on CBC. Maple Leafs vs. Hurricanes prediction. My Leafs pick John Tavares over 2.5 shots on goal plus 130 at Sports Interaction. My Leafs analysis. The Toronto Maple Leafs host the Carolina Hurricanes tonight to kick off the post-Four Nations part of the schedule. The Buds won 3 of 4 games on the road before the break, whereas the Canes went 1-3 heading into the tournament. Both teams had multiple players participating in the Four Nations face-off, and there's a possibility that those players have their minutes scaled back, especially with it being night 1 of a back-to-back. Thus, I'm targeting one of the non-participants of the tournament for my Maple Leafs best bet tonight, John Tavares. The former Leafs captain certainly wished he'd have been chosen by Team Canada, but it was probably best for Toronto that Tavares ended up getting a long mid-season rest instead. Typically, the Leafs pivot plays extremely well after being given time off to rest his legs, and that freshness will pay off tonight. Carolina typically showcases a well-structured defense, but Toronto has a good track record of finding ways to get pucks through and pepper the Canes' goalies with shots. Toronto is averaging 35.4 shots on net in its 5 meetings against Carolina, with Tavares averaging 3.6 himself over that stretch. Tavares has not been shooting as much lately, hitting the over only twice over his last 7 outings, but he's averaging 2.72 shots per game this season, and the break should give him a boost in his legs to get there. Additionally, my expectation is for him to get more ice time than usual, given the amount of high-intensity hockey Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner played over the last week compared to everyone else. This should allow him to get more shifts, resulting in more shots. Lastly, the Canes have given up an average of 29.75 shots per game over their last 4 games. Their best shutdown defenseman, Jacob Slavin, played heavy minutes for USA at the Four Nations face-off, and might he be a little worn after a painful and physical loss Thursday night? If so, those minutes are hard to replace for Carolina. We'll stick to shot props, given the Leafs' track record of running up the shot counter against Carolina. For the second leg, I'll take Matthews to record 3+ shots on net. He's coming off a 4-shot performance in the championship game against Canada, and hit this mark in each of the final 5 games before the break. Ultimately, one of those Matthews shots goes in. AM34 hasn't scored since January 22nd. That includes the 3 games he played at the Four Nations face-off. I'm not sure he's ever gone on a skid quite like this, and he was so dangerous for the Americans in the final that I think he gets one to drop tonight. The Winnipeg Jets return from the Four Nations face-off with a road matchup against the St. Louis Blues tonight. Winnipeg went into the break hot, but will be shorthanded. The Jets won 8 straight games to improve to an impressive 39-14-3 record before the tournament, and now face a tough test without Connor Hellebuyck and Josh Morrissey. Still, Winnipeg is a road favorite against the up-and-down Blues. Our top Jets versus Blues predictions expect a high-scoring game in the best NHL picks for Saturday, February 22nd. Jets versus Blues prediction. My Jets pick Jets team total over 3.5 plus 135 at Pinnacle. My Jets analysis, the Winnipeg Jets should catch a bit of a break tonight, with the St. Louis Blues starting backup goalie Joel Hofer after Jordan Binnington helped Team Canada to a gold medal in the Four Nations face-off on Thursday night. Hofer is 10-7-1 this season with a .903 save percentage and 2.88 goals against average, which includes allowing 8 total goals in his last 2 starts before the break. The Jets should be looking to play more of an up-tempo game in St. Louis with their backup in net as well. Connor Hellebuyck doesn't impact the Jets' offensive output, and although Josh Morrissey quarterbacks the power play, Winnipeg's forwards should be good to go. Winnipeg scored 32 goals during its 8-game winning streak, including at least 4 goals in 6 of those contests. That's a bit above their hit rate on the season of 4+ goals in 29 of 56 games thus far. Both teams will be a bit rusty after having nearly 2 weeks off, and that usually favors the offense as goalies can't simulate the speed of game action. The Jets are favorites here, and -122 isn't a bad price, but I'm going with the team total over 3.5 at this appetizing +135 number. Jets vs. Blues odds analysis. The Jets opened as bigger favorites around -145 or higher, but the news of Hellebuyck and Morrissey both missing the game brought that down to between -120 and -130 at most books. The Jets are still the far superior team, though, especially with the Blues' backup in net. The total has also gone up with both number. One goalie's riding the pine. It would be a lower scoring game under normal circumstances, but the unusual break and backups in net raised this total from 5.5 to a flat 6.0.